Welcome everybody to Crypto Rosetta. My name is Savage. Today we're going to be having a look at Render. This is going to be a lower time frame video. Our higher time frame video is up above, so check that out if you haven't already. Let's get into the charts and see what's going on. Before we jump into the lower degree counting here, we're going to go over some of the higher time frame things that we are looking for. So within the counts where we're still looking for one more push to the upside here, what we would be looking for is either this bullish count here, where effectively we look at this 1 2 1 2 1 2 and another 1 2 here. And effectively what we're looking for is this higher 1.618 level at this 1407 to confirm this. Now, the problem with this count is when we start to get too many 1-2s in a row like this, the probability starts to become less that this is going to play out. So we'd actually still need to just start to see this blue count looking to turn up here and starting to head towards this $8.65, which would be our 1.618 level. Invalidation of this idea would come by crossing this 89.20. Now it is still possible that we could look at this move slightly different, where we actually count this move here as a diagonal, and this could either become our A wave or potentially a wave 1. Now within this idea, what we're looking for is an ABC pattern to the downside. The most common target area we'd be looking for would be this 1.236 to this 1.618, but I will also be keeping an eye on this 1-to-1 level here at this $1.20. Now this would actually imply that this is 1 2 3 4 and 5, and we'd still be looking for another leg to the downside. So we're going to go over that count in a second, but effectively within this count we could still have this as a bigger A, B, and still be looking for this C wave to the upside. $6.59 is that target area. Now if we want to just say that instead of this looking at this as a diagonal, we could just say that this is W, X, Y, X, and Z. We could still additionally have another push up here in another Z wave here, where effectively the 1-to-1 target would be towards this 539 level. So we do have a couple of counts here that are indicating that we could still potentially see some upside here. It depends how we look to progress up here. If we progress up in 3 waves, this would align more with this WXYXZ idea, and that would be looking to push us up towards this 539. Now the problem is, if we only move up correctively here, we need to be careful of this overall idea that this whole move from further back here could just be A, B, and we could be looking for a C wave to the downside. Now the minimum requirement we'd be looking for would be this 3582 here for this C wave, and what I'd be looking out for is the potential that if we do form 5 waves here, we could then get 3 waves back up and then see continuation to the downside. 1-to-1 would be at this 0972 level. So need to just be very careful of this potential here, that if we do complete a 5-wave move down here, if this is a flat, we want to see price move back above these highs. Okay, so now we're going to get into the lower degree counting here and talk about a couple of the things that I'm looking at. So looking at this move to the downside, at the moment, there's 2 ways that I'm looking at it. I'm looking at this either as a bigger C wave, where what we are saying is that this move here is 1, 2. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then we would be looking for another 4th and a 5th. Now, we are sitting right in this typical 4th wave area here. And within this count here, you know, the potential is that we could have completed this as a simple A, B, and a C wave to the upside. We have come towards this 1-to-1 and this 1, 2, 3, 6. Until we actually start to break down in 5 waves, though, we need to just be aware there is potential that this could still look to extend up. Now, within this idea, what we'd be saying is that this move is corrective and that we're going to start to see price looking to break down in 5 waves. Invalidation of this idea would come by moving back above this 185. If we move back above that, that would invalidate the idea of this being 4th and a 5th. It could potentially still mean that we have an additional leg here to the downside, because unless we start to develop 5-wave structure up here, the probability is that we are still going to see another drop to the downside. Now, if we do start to drop down here, 117 to this 104 is going to be our target level. And ideally, what we want to see here to confirm this bigger impulse is a move past this $1.01. If we do see price looking to push down here, I will then be watching for a 4th wave retracement into the area of this previous 4th wave before looking for continuation down, which could potentially take us towards this zone of this 93.74 to this 82.75. So that's going to be what we're looking for this 5-wave move to the downside. At the moment, there isn't a lot indicating that this is looking to break down in 5 waves. If we come down here onto the smaller time frames, it is looking like this is just a 3-wave move. The only way that this could potentially be a 5-wave move is if this is 1 and 2, and then we'd be looking for 3, 4, 5 to the downside. So we'd need to actually see, you know, a more violent breakdown here, and we need to see price breakdown past this level of this $1.54 primarily before we can start looking at this potentially as starting to form a 5-wave structure down. So at the moment it is looking just corrective down. This is why I'm just looking out for that potential that, you know, we could see some continuation to the upside still here. Now within the other idea here, we could be looking at this as a bigger W, X, Y, X, and a Z. And within this idea, what we'd be saying is that the first leg of this is in 3 waves. And what we'd be then saying is that this is A, B, C. This is a B wave, and this is our C wave. Now, it would have been a very extended C wave, so this is why I'm not too keen on this W idea, but it is technically possible because of this choppy overlap at the top end here. It is possible we could have this as a flat to start, and then we have this as an X wave. Now, within this idea, like we were talking about in the previous video, what we're saying is that this could have done enough to complete into this low as a Y wave. Now, either this then means that we're going to start to see price looking to move to the upside here in 5 waves, or alternatively, we could be looking for the fact that once again, we could get a rejection here, even within this option. We've hit this 1-to-1 level of this 162. Some other targets where we could reject higher up here would be this 50% at this 167, and anywhere really up to the 786. I wouldn't want to go higher than that 786 if we're looking at this as an X wave, and really it would be more clean if this move actually completed where it is, just because of the time duration between these two X waves. We like to get a little bit of equality between them. So if we do see this start to break down in 3 waves, I will be looking out for the potential of seeing a move down towards the zone of the 096 at a 1-to-1. Minimum requirement would be this 117, which would be looking to bring us back into some of these lows over here. So we'll be keeping an eye on this level if we do start to break down in that way. Now, like I said, it is possible here that we could be looking at this move as a bigger corrective pattern to the upside, where in the same idea here, what we'd be looking for is the potential that this is A, B, and C to the downside. So what I'm going to be looking out for here is if we do see a retracement here where this becomes A, B, C, and then we get 3 waves to the downside, looking to test this 144 to this 132 level, then potentially we could still look for this possibility of a C wave to the upside. At the moment, we are currently hitting, like I said, that 1-to-1 zone. So I'm just going to be looking out for the fact that, you know, we've come into this typical area that we look for a reaction. If we start to break down here, something like a zigzag, or alternatively any corrective structure, because it is a B wave, we could then still look for another 5-wave move to the upside at a later point if we hold this higher green support box. We also can't rule out the idea here that if we do get an overshooting B wave, we could see something like this as a move down towards this 125 to this 112 area, and then see that continuation up. But at the moment, there's nothing suggesting this, so need to just be looking out to see how the price action actually reacts here. It is right in the zone. We could be getting a reaction to the downside, but we need to just be mindful of the bullish count, which we're going to go over in a second. Now, the bullish count would actually be indicating that this low is at the end of that Y wave, and we're looking for continuation to the upside. Now, within this idea, what we'd be saying is that this is 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now, if this is a 5-wave move as a diagonal, it is possible that this move could actually be completed as a corrective move here. Now, we would have been very shallow retracement, which is why I'm still thinking we could potentially see price come back down towards this 0.382 to the 786 region. But if we do continue to hold this 132 zone, then we have potential here that we could see price looking to react one more time to the upside here, whether this becomes A, B, and C, or alternatively looking at this move as potentially a wave 1. But if this is a wave 1, we need to see a much higher push after finding support here. And what we'd then be looking for, if we're going to say that we're looking for a bullish counter for this, is if we did have to come back down into the 0.382 level, then our 1.618 would be all the way up here at this $2.26. So this is why, you know, if we do start to hold these lows and we continue to hold, especially this low here of this 125, then effectively we do have the potential here that this move could find support here and then look to rally. If we start to see 5-wave movements to the upside and we start to hit some of these higher impulsive triggers, this would then confirm the idea that this is developing as a 5-wave move to the upside here. And then from that point, what I'd then be looking at is within both of these higher time frame ideas that we'd be looking for 5-wave move to the upside, 3 waves down, and then continuation up if we're going to get this developing as an impulse to the upside. So that's going to be key moving forward here. If we do hold this support zone of the 786 at this 132, then we do have the potential that we could see this move looking to extend to the upside here after a bit of a retracement. But we always have to be careful here, because sometimes we can get very shallow retracements. Now, it's not my primary expectation that this is completed, but we have actually moved into this zone. Now, it is also possible we could argue this is 1, 2. We could argue that this is A, B, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 as a diagonal pattern. And then we're still looking for a 4th and a 5th. So if we stay within these trend lines and we get 3 waves down, moving back into the bottom trend line, and then get 3 waves up, it is possible that this diagonal just actually has a diagonal in it as well, which is making it harder to read. And that what that would mean is that the 3rd wave would then come here. We'd have this as our 4th wave, and then our 5th wave would still be playing out within these diagonal lines that we've got here. So you need to just be open to that interpretation as well. But if we are looking to break out, and this is a corrective move completed, we could start to build to the upside here. So I'm just being mindful of that as well. If we do continue to hold this low here of this 156, potentially we could start to see some impulsive structure to the upside, but we'd need to see confirmation of this. And what I'm looking for here is that within this count, even if this is just A, B, and C, and we get a push up towards this 170, it is possible this corrective structure isn't completed. So if we do just get 3 waves up here towards 170, I'm going to then be looking out for that potential. We could see a reversal to the downside, where this whole move here actually just becomes a bigger flat correction, where we have this as our A wave, this becomes a B wave, and then we'd see a C wave play out to the downside. So it's going to be key here, if we do move up in just 3 waves, that we could continue to see that rejection. Like I said, at the moment, there's not really anything indicating that we're getting a 5-wave structure to the downside. You could potentially argue there's something like a diagonal in here, and then you'd get 3 waves up, and then you'd be looking to break this low. But we'd have to see confirmation by breaking that 1.618 level to the downside here. So if we do continue to hold this support zone, I am going to be looking out for that potential of another move up. If it comes towards this 1-to-1 at this 170 level, that could then just indicate 3 waves. If we do, however, get a bigger push up towards this 1618 at this 176, this could then actually mean that we're starting to extend out to the upside here, where this diagonal is completed. We've had a very shallow wave 2 here, and then we're looking for this move to potentially become another 1 and a 2, and then we'd be looking for that bigger 3rd wave to the upside. So we need to just be open to this interpretation if we do continue to hold this low of this 156. Having a look at the daily CPR lines here, we can see that we are starting to lose our central lines. If we start to lose these, potential targets for today would be 157, 154, 150, and this 147 as potential zones to the downside. We could look for retracements. If we're looking for that idea where this is A, B, and C, I would be expecting this lower S1 line to hold at this 157. So this is going to be an area I'm going to be keeping an eye on. If we do, however, start to see a reversal back up here, and we get back above this 164, other targets for today would be this 168, 171, and this 176 region. So I'm going to be keeping an eye on those zones. Now, having a look at the weekly pivot points, what we can see here is that we are currently underneath our... What we can see here is that we are currently above our central lines. Now, we haven't had an interaction with this S1 line yet, which is sitting at this 166. So if we do see price move back up here, it is possible we could find a reaction on this line. Alternatively, if we overshoot that, we do have the potential to test out this 176 and this 191 for the remainder of this week. If we do see price looking to come back down here in a bigger way, where we're looking for a deeper retracement, we can potentially find support here between this 154, 152, and this 150 region, where we could look to retest these central lines and then see if we get a reaction. If we lose these central lines this week, our target would be 142, other targets would be 128, and this 118 as potential downside targets for this week. Now moving over and having a look at the monthly pivots here, we can see that we are still above our central lines here. So once again, if we do move to the upside here, we could potentially see an interaction with this higher level here of this 169, which would be bringing us into our target box, which is sitting here between this 168 and this 176. Within this zone, we do have a monthly negative point of control sitting at this 168 and a daily one sitting at this 170, which would align quite nicely with that line. So we're going to be keeping an eye on those levels if we do see price looking to push up into those higher zones. Alternatively, if we look to push through that area, other targets we'd have here is 202 and this 225 as potential upside targets for the remainder of this month. Okay, so I'm going to leave the video there. I hope you found it useful. If you did, please smash the like button, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, turn on those bell notifications so you never miss a video. Leave us some feedback down below, and also in the description you'll find a link to the Discord. Come check it out, it's free to join. Everyone have a great day. We will see you in the next one. Take care.